Okay, so now I'm joined by a good friend of mine, good friend of the show as well, massive City fan from the 93-20 pod, on a huge occasion actually, on the anniversary day of that Aguero goal at the 93rd minute and 20 seconds of that huge QPR game, the day the City won the title 10 years ago today. It's Steve Tudor. How are you, mate?
I'm very good, mate. Yeah, it's brought back all the memories today, and 10 years on, still can't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even believe it's already been 10 years. It seems like so much has happened in those 10 years, both on
Yeah,
and off the football pitch, that it almost seems like yesterday, because that goal is almost like every time I go on Twitter, someone's tweeted that goal again. So just always at the forefront of your mind. So 10 years is pretty mad. And what a journey, mate, since then.
it's been unbelievable. Numerous league titles, numerous trophies. Pep Guardiola. I mean, that's what
Mm.
I thought. Yeah. So no one could have foreseen that. But I mean, a decade on, I still think it's going to hit the post. So every time I watch it, honestly, every time, or the thought goes through my mind, what would have happened if it hit the
Mm.
post?
Yeah, it's crazy, crazy. What a moment. Definitely the best moment in Premier League history for me. Nothing
To
beats
really
that.
kind of to show how much we've kind of moved on or regressed, is possibly the right word, in that time. If you go on a Liverpool forum from that day, because obviously they were so chuffed that we, deprived United of a title, and they were so pleased for us. I mean, they genuinely were so pleased for us. Can you imagine that happening today, 10
I
years on?
know, I know. We're going to get onto that rivalry in a bit, actually, because I want to ask you about that. But first up, bring back to present day. You're on the verge of potentially another
Mm.
title, 2 games away from what is it, fifth, sixth title?
Yeah, it'd be the fifth in 6 years, is it? Yeah, so we've done 3 and 4, so it'll be 4 and 5.
Incredible. And Liverpool seem to be kind of just slightly going off the board a little bit.
Mm,
They've got a lot more to think about than you guys. But
yeah.
think you're going to do it? Do you think that obviously you've got to play the mighty West Ham first, but do you think it's in
Yeah.
the bag?
No, because we've got to play the mighty West Ham. I mean, honestly, though, in the build up to this, I mean, after we played Liverpool, it was a case of, right, we both now go our separate ways with a handful of games left. And everyone identified Wolves away as the problem game for City. It's like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, straight away after that, we've got the Hammers away. That's a far trickier game. I certainly didn't expect to batter Wolves as we did 5-1. No one does that to Wolves at Molineux. But I was quietly confident. This game, I'm not, because you guys are going for top 6. You're
Mm.
just in great shape right now. You've caused us problems of late as well. So, and as we'll come to very shortly, we don't have a defence. We have
Yeah.
no defenders to speak of. So there's a lot to be kind of worried about. As regards to the title as a whole, we can afford to drop points. We can afford to draw, and then obviously beat Villa hopefully next week. So I do fancy us for the title, but I'm not at all confident about the weekend. No.
I mean, you're certainly probably playing. You may have been probably a little bit annoyed that we didn't reach the Europa League final, because obviously that's
Yeah,
next week.
yeah.
And had we got there, then it would have been the kids against City on Sunday, because we'd have been able to worry about Seville in 3 days later. But it's going to be a full strength side, because, as you said, we're going for 6th. But we'll get onto that. One thing I was quite surprised about was the way City have bounced back since that defeat to Real Madrid
Mm,
in the second leg, and the manner of that defeat, and how heartbreaking it must have been, and how, not just for the fans but for the players as well. And Pep even admitted after that it's going to take a bit of time to get over that, and the
yeah,
disappointment in the manner that it happened. But you've bounced back and scored 10 goals in 2 games against Newcastle and Wolves. There's that quote. I think I've got the right quote, but it's nothing more dangerous than a wounded animal.
yeah.
Do you think that's the case here? Is that City have so wounded from what happened at the Bernabeu that now it's like, do you know what? Let's just get the job done now. No one's going to get in our way for that title.
Definitely. It was 2 ways it could have gone. And I did a podcast straight after the Madrid game. And I basically said, I really, really hope that they're hurting. And I really hope that they're angry.
Mm.
And that they take it out on the Premier League. And that's precisely what we've done. I don't know if this fact is true. It's an Opta stat. It has to be correct. It just sounds so inconceivable, this. But we are the first top flight club ever to have gone 5 games consecutively winning by 3+ goal margin. Surely that's happened before in like 1920s or something, when you used to get those
Mm.
ridiculous score lines. But apparently, it's never been done before. It's not going to happen this weekend. We're not going to continue it. But it just shows what the response has been. It's been so comprehensive. It's been so angry. We've just been taking it out on sides, and that's exactly the right response. And to be fair, that was the response I kind of anticipated, because that is in the makeup of his squad. We've seen time and time again. I know there's enough to be kind of, complimenting City about, so I understand why it's not mentioned much, but the mentality of this squad is absolutely elite. I mean, it really is. They just go again and again and again. They're relentless. So I hoped that'll be a reaction, and it certainly has been. It's just, they're really pissed off. I mean, you see it in Kevin De Bruyne at Molineux. I mean, he was just a one-man army. When Wolves equalised, he was furious, and that's exactly the response you want to get in that tight kind of title race.
Yeah, I'd noticed the way in which he celebrated those goals as well. He looked angry with the goal. I don't recall him even smiling when he, even when the fourth went in. He didn't too happy about it. Let's touch on that rivalry with Liverpool quickly, Steve. And that before we played twice in a week, played the Premier League and then you had the semi-final of the FA Cup as well. I see a lot on Twitter about people claiming this is the best Premier League rivalry ever.
They're unrivaled. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from how good United were back in the day, or Arsenal were the Invincibles and all the rest of it, of course. But they are phenomenal, both of these football teams. But the managers get on, and they're quite respectful to each other. And let's face it, a big part of the Arsenal-United rivalry was Wenger and Ferguson. And had City beat Real Madrid, and had there been a Champions League final between City and Liverpool, that would have really just established it as one of the all-time rivals. And it may happen again next year. You just don't know. But you're absolutely right. Kind of Liverpool have been there or thereabouts now for 3 or 4 years. They've had one drop-off season. They've had one season where they lost once all season, and still somehow we managed to win the league that year. And of course, they had their great kind of title-winning season. And they're back again. They are incredible. I'm not taking anything away from that. But City have got the longevity. And until Liverpool have that longevity, then I think we'll always lord it over them, no matter how good they are. But yeah, it's definitely up there. It's a truly great modern rivalry. But yeah, until the managers have a few little snipes at each other, that's what really makes it interesting for me.
Well, that's it. I mean, when I think of greatest ever Premier League rivalries, I think of United, Arsenal in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal, Chelsea, Mourinho, Wenger.
Yeah.
At the moment, I don't currently think of City, Liverpool on the pitch, 100%, but as just all round fierce rivalries. I think it needs to go on for a few more years yet. And I think we're going to move on to probably the biggest news coming out of City over the last week or so is Erling Haaland, and how managing to sign him, first of all, for 60 million quid, which is, just ridiculous fee for a player that good. And ridiculous in that, I mean, it's pocket money, isn't it, really? Must be buzzing that you didn't spend £100 million on Harry Kane last summer. Yeah. And does this then kind of put you then, you're going to be favourites again next year, but that's one up on Liverpool already, isn't it, ahead of next season?
Yeah, and they've got the Mane and the Salah situation and the Firmino situation, which I know they've brought in Jota and I know they've got Diaz, but they still need at least 1 or 2 strikers, which cost a fortune in today's market. So are they prepared to go out and spend that kind of money? I'm not so sure. So they may well just take one step back from that. We may well kind of, progress from Haaland. There's a few people out there suggesting that he's going to be another Lukaku and not be a good fit at City. I kind of disagree with that. But we'll see. It might well happen. It might backfire. But right now, I'm just buzzing to have him. It's unbelievable. He's a generational talent. He's a freak of nature. And let's see, because if it clicks and if he does score all his goals, because the thing is, I mean, City's goal scoring this season is phenomenal. No one's outscored us in all of Europe. And we've done it without a centre forward. I mean, that's down to Pep Guardiola. That's down to his genius. But we're also wasting a lot of chances, as daft as it sounds. We are wasteful. So if some of them go in, courtesy Haaland, how many goals is he going to score? Christ.
I mean, it terrifies me already. I mean, knowing how many goals City do tend to score against West Ham. and then having Erling Haaland up against Craig Dawson next season. As much as I love Craig Dawson,
yeah. Same here. Yeah,
it's worrying. It really is worrying because, as you said, he is a freak of nature. He's just I've never seen anything like him. Really, he's just completely different to what we used to.
I found out yesterday, and I don't know if this is true. This was kind of told to me in the pub last night, but apparently Everton had him when he was 16 for a whole week as well, and they turned him down.
Oh my word!
I know, yeah, but
that's such a typical Everton thing to do.
Yeah, I know. Apparently, he had like a growth spurt soon after, and but yeah, even so, God, surely it was evident at that age.
Madness. In terms of the fact you got him for 60 million quid, though, that then surely frees up, an opportunity to spend big elsewhere in the squad that you might need. You mentioned the defensive injuries, and we'll get onto that in a minute, previewing the game. It's worried me a little bit in terms of Declan Rice's situation because, Rodri's good. Fernandinho's, about 50 years old now?
I think he's leaving, yeah.
He's leaving. At the moment, there's only really one club in my eyes, given what's happening at Chelsea, who can afford the price tag that West Ham have rightly put on Rice's shoulders.
Yeah.
Do you think there's now risk, given that Haaland's been a bit of a snip at 60 million, that Pep might go, I'm going to go for Rice this summer?
It's that position, and it's that kind of player that we're after. So it's whether it's Rice or someone else. Certainly, I can say that it's exactly that kind of player that we're after. With Fernandinho leaving, just to take some of the pressure off Rodri, because obviously over a 70-game season, if you get injured in September or something, we won't have anyone else. So, not that Rice would be kind of a backup to Rodri. He's too good for that anyway. But that's possibly why I think we won't go for Declan, because he is that level above what we'd be after. Possibly it would be someone at a level below who wouldn't be happy to be back up, but would
do a job.
To do a job. Yeah. Whereas Rice would be a starter, and we've got Rodri, so we can't play two players in that position, obviously. But you're absolutely right as regards to the financial implications, because we do have kind of £100 million to spend essentially now on top of Haaland. But we are after kind of a specialist fullback as well, and they don't come cheap. So we'll have to wait and see. You can rule United out, can't we? I mean,
100%.
Yeah. So without United, and you're absolutely right about Chelsea, then I can't also see him going abroad. So who else is there? It's City or staying at West Ham. I'd rather stay at West Ham, frankly. I don't want to see Declan Rice play, a handful of games next season at City, having cost £100 million. I don't want that flack, and I don't want to fall out with West Ham fans because we've got such a good relationship. So I'd rather it didn't happen, honestly. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if I could pick who he went to, because we've all come to terms with the fact that he's going to leave. If it's not this summer, it'll be maybe January or next summer. I'd rather him go to City than anywhere else. And you're right, I don't think he's suited to continental football.
No.
Real Madrid have been touted. He doesn't fit in well at Real Madrid, I don't think. But yeah, I see him in a City shirt as well. When I think about it, I see him in a City shirt, which frustrates me a little bit, knowing that you've still got money to spend. And I'm like, just one more year, just back off a little bit.
Yeah.
And
I get that.
And I think he'll get the captaincy if he stays, because obviously Noble's retiring. So fingers crossed.
Well, if Rice stays, will you have money to spend this summer?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Well, okay. We've just had some investment from one of the richest men in Czech Republic.
Right.
He's worth more than the guys buying Chelsea.
Right.
He's bought 27% of the club, and he's already said, I'm going to whack some money in the coffers. So we'll have money to spend. Whether we can trust David Solomon to spend it correctly is a completely different matter. So it's still up in the air whether he might have the money, but will he spend it? And we know how careful David Moyes is in the window. But we'll see. But let's look ahead to this Sunday's game. City lost at the London Stadium for the first ever time. I mean, lost. I mean, it was a penalty shootout. It was a goalless draw, which ended your love affair with the Carabao 5-year love affair with the Carabao Cup.
That hurt more than the Real Madrid game.
Yeah, I bet. But you've still won 5 out of your 7 visits, and you scored 23 goals and conceded just 2 since we moved into that stadium. I know you said at the beginning that you're not as confident as perhaps you were going into other games previously. Do you still think there's enough about you, even without a defence, to extend that record?
See, you'll know far more about this than myself, but my feeling from the outside looking in is that it was easier to play at West Ham, and it suited us to play at West Ham in seasons past. Big, lovely stadium, big, lovely pitch. The fans kind of, quite distant to the action, noise, but not an intimidating atmosphere. That seems to be changed now. I mean, you can tell me if I'm right or not, but it just does seem to be a harder place to go and play at now, whereas it used to be, quite a pleasant day, frankly, and against a good team who used to come and play open football against us. All the elements were there for us. It suited us. Now, that's not the case. You don't want to go and play at West Ham. It's a very hard place to go to.
Yeah, this is the season where it really feels like home.
Yeah.
Not Upton Park home, but it feels more like home for West Ham fans, and that's because, and I said it right at the beginning, and I might have even said it to you in the past, that all we needed was good memories there. We needed a bit of success there. We needed some big nights in order for us to really kind of take to it and begin to accept it. And we've had that this season and last season, although most of last season was behind closed doors. But we've beaten Seville there in one of the best nights we've had there since we moved. We had a good result against Lyon. We've beaten you guys there this season. We've beaten Spurs, Liverpool, Chelsea there. So we've had some big nights, and barring the last two games against Arsenal and Frankfurt, we hadn't lost at home for a long time. And I think we've only failed to score in a home game twice since midway through last season, I think. So we're getting there at home. And the good thing about what David Moyes has done is that we don't get thrashed anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope that doesn't change on Sunday.
Yeah.
But I think we've lost by 2 or more goals just twice all season against Brentford and Brentford, Arsenal, and Spurs. Other than that, it tends to be tight games. We haven't conceded more than 3 goals, and I can't remember the last time we did that in one game. So we are certainly harder to beat, particularly at home. But given that City are going for the title, I know you said you can afford to drop points, but and the fact that you seem to be so angry at the moment and so just hell bent on just wiping anyone that gets in your way, just going to absolutely thrash them.
Yeah.
But defensively, it looks like it's going to be a Rodri and Ake centre back pairing.
It's not good, mate. I mean, Ake isn't fit. He's half fit. He's got an ankle problem. I don't know if I'm speaking out of school here, but it's not really kind of released by the club. But this ankle problem is kind of very similar to what David Silva had for a whole season, where he could play, but it was always with painkilling injections, and he just hobbled through the season. That's Nathan Ake this season. So even if he plays, and you've got Rodri, who was, to my mind, I think he's played at the back once for one half for City. It's not a familiar role for him. He's not really a player blessed with too much pace either. So we could get turned. And then, of course, we'd have to kind of that would mean that Fernandinho isn't available, so we'd have to play Gundo in the middle in the holding role, which is fine. He's great at that role, but Gundo and De Bruyne in the same midfield just never tends to be as impactful as it does if they play separately. There's problems throughout that team, really, and it all stems from the back, and it all stems from personnel, so not application, obviously. So, yeah, there's reasons to be fearful. It's just come at the worst possible time. Whether it's enough to get us over the line, I believe it will, but we didn't need this complication, and it really is a complication. The idea of Bowen, Antonio going up against, Rodri and Ake, that doesn't fill me with confidence at all.
Well, that was going to be my next question, is that, given was probably going to be a makeshift defence, particularly in the centre of defence, with Bowen's just been nominated for one of the players of the season.
Yeah.
Antonio, he scored, like, his goal scoring form hasn't been great. He did score last weekend against Norwich, but even when he's not scoring, he's causing defensive problems.
Yeah.
And you've got Lanzini and Benrahma who are beginning to hit a bit of form. Lanzini's been good all season. Benrahma scored 2 last week. That's the key for West Ham. 100% is to target that defence, but it's all going to be about City's attack, isn't it? It always is.
Well, someone mentioned earlier, so I'm not taking credit for this because I think it's absolutely bang on. We're just going to have to Kevin Keegan it, for the next two games. We are, and it's just back in the day when he was at City, and it was a case of, okay, you score 2, we'll score 3. The best bet for this weekend is to back West Ham and City, both teams to score, because it will happen. And yeah, whether it's 2-1, 3-2, I'll always back City, in a game like this. But yeah, it's not going to be easy by any stretch, and it's certainly not going to be kind of the same as previous games where we've been steamrolling teams. That's just not going to happen. It's just not.
Well, it's comforting to hear that, mate, because I've been just seeing you smash everyone and just thinking, oh God, it's our turn on Sunday. It's our turn.
No.
And obviously we need the point. Probably just need 1 point to guarantee 7th at least, but it'd be nice to beat United and condemn United to Conference League football, and we can snatch the Europa League again for another year. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? Maybe that's what City can do. They can do everyone a favour.
It would, it crossed my mind that, if you were playing anyone else this weekend, I'd be rooting for you. But we just in case of a slip up against Villa.
Yeah, fair play. Let's have a score prediction then, Steve. Where I actually think it's going to go. You said both teams to score. What do you reckon?
I think 2-1. It could very conceivably be a ridiculous 3-2 or something. But I'll go play it safe and say 2-1 City.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna stay faithful. I don't think we'll win, but I think you said both teams will score. I'm going to go for a Desmond 2-2. Is my favourite prediction, and I think that certainly will be goals. And Bowen's just on fire at the moment, and I really think he'll be on the score sheet. So, but yeah, no, Steve, thanks for joining us, mate.
Pleasure, mate.
It's always a pleasure having you on. Good luck for the title race. Not so much for Sunday, but hopefully we're both happy come next weekend. 6 o'clock next Sunday afternoon. But Steve, really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to let you go now, and you can celebrate the 10-year anniversary of that Aguero goal. A bit more, crack a beer open. It is past midday now, so
it's allowed now.
You can definitely have a pint and relive it all over again.